let's get started on this beautiful cake. Can you see this? This is a sheet cake, a 9 by 13 sheet cake. I've taken a serrated bread knife and I have split it, and I want to lay it on 2 sheets of parchment paper with the finished sides down and the cut sides up. I have a regular cake board that I bought at my local supply. You can also get them at Michael's or Walmart. And you position the good side down on top of the cut side and flip it over using the sheet of parchment paper and center it. And next we're going to make the whipped cream filling. Now, for a filling that goes in between 2 layers, you're going to want to use 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Put it into your stand mixer, and we're going to use the whisk attachment. First off, we're going to gently combine the powdered sugar and the heavy whipping cream. And then we're going to have to pause it and scrape down the sides, actually. Now, one thing I'm going to mention is to prevent splatters from the heavy whipping cream, we're going to use a towel that covers the entire mixer. Let me show you. So here's a cotton mattress towel that I'm going to drape over the whole entire mixer. You want to make sure it's not anywhere near any of the beaters, that it's draped over only. And go ahead and turn it on high, and it's going to start whipping. Beat it for 2 minutes. Here's the flavoring I'm going to use for the heavy whipping cream, chocolate fudge. You can use any flavor you want. All right, as soon as it's whipped up, we're going to go ahead and pour it in and get that flavor going. Now, anytime you're mixing something like powdered sugar or anything powdered or liquid, you can put that towel on it to prevent it from coming all over your kitchen or wherever you're mixing at. Now, it's looking mighty good. I'm going to scrape down the sides and we're going to blend it one more time. And at this point, I don't know that I showed it, I added about a half a teaspoon of vanilla. In turn, you could add any kind of extract you wanted. If you wanted a peppermint chocolate, you could do that if you liked it. I would use that very sparingly, though. Mix it just about 30 more seconds so everything's blended. And we're going to get ready to put it in this cake, y'all. Okay, let's transfer all the filling over to that cake layer we just put on the cake board, and we're going to spread it out evenly using an offset spatula. One thing to keep in mind, you do not want to go very close to the edge because when you put that second layer on it, you just really need to be gentle with that because you don't want to smush it out. You really want a substantial layer showing when you cut that cake. So you have to reposition sometimes and turn it, especially if you do not have a revolving cake stand. If you're going to do very much cake decorating or cake baking at all, I would highly suggest you get a turning cake stand that's elevated. So bringing it up to your eye level is just so much more convenient. And I'm just going to finish dragging this out to the sides. Now, once you get it all the way over, you want to take your edge and you want to make a clean edge all the way around it so that you formed an actual looking layer. Not that it's sticking out here, there, and yonder. Then you want to even it out and look at your high spots and your low spots and try to get them all evened out. I find that my technique of zigzagging is just so much better for just putting a final coat finish to even everything out. And, this is going to be the inside. You're not going to see the top of it here. What you're trying to do is just essentially get it level so that the next layer is not going to, lean from one side to the other. So let's get that other top layer on. This is another reason I like laying it on parchment paper. You can use it to transfer, and you want to lay the cut side edge down level, and if you need to adjust it any at all, you can do that to make sure it lines up well. Always use clean hands. Look at the filling. See how it's a layer? Now, after you put that second layer on, you want to go ahead and smooth it out so that there are no gaps in between your layers, and it forms its own second layer, and it looks really pretty when you get it all even when you start cutting it. Now we're going to ice it with some chocolate buttercream. I would like to encourage you to try using pastry bags. You have to cut the bottom of it. We're using tip, I believe, 1M today. It's a large star tip, and I think that says 1M. I'm getting old with my eyes. But we've cut the end off, and you want to make sure you slide it to the end once you insert your tip in there. And you don't want to cut any more than about a third of the way down so that the tip sticks through about a third of the way down, because you don't want any blowouts, and that is not fun when you're trying to ice a cake. So make sure you don't cut too much. I have put about 1.5 cups of icing, and I've twisted the top where I was holding it at the top, and now I'm going to start squeezing it down. And it's very important to twist that top. And when you see it start coming out, we're about ready to go. This technique for icing the sides with the zigzag pattern is just so much easier than trying to scoop it on there. Touching the tip near the cake and just squeezing it with the pressure, you're going to have to work with it to get comfortable. But see, we're going to go back and ice this with the offset spatula edge, so you can play with it. It doesn't matter. So we're going to hold the spatula at about a 45-degree angle while we turn the table if we need to, and we're just going to go back and forth pulling that icing up from the bottom. And do you see how even that makes it? It really does. It's just the perfect amount of icing, and just go back and forth until you get it looking like you want it. Now, this is not going to be a finished top. We're just trying to spread the icing on the sides. You want to avoid touching the dry cake part. Just keep your blade of the spatula on the icing only. Icing only, y'all. Okay, finish getting it around the cake, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. Okay, once it's around everywhere, you're going to take the tip of your spatula and make a up and down motion going back and forth. And this makes it very forgiving for any type of abnormalities you might have. And if it doesn't look like what you want to, go back over it. But that's the pattern you want. Now we're going to add a straight edge line with the star tip. This technique just really helps us get the icing in the exact place that we need it. This decoration isn't going to stay that way. It just is going to help us spread the icing better. So don't worry about if you've got any gaps. Just make a line all around the perimeter of your cake. Working with the small offset spatula again, we're just going to make a back and forth motion all around the edges. And what we're doing is joining that line of icing we just placed with the sides. And that kind of ices around the corners and the edges. And it really sets us up for what we need to do next. Okay, we're at the top of our cake, and we're not covering it, we're just placing icing. Okay, we're just putting the icing so that we can come back over it with our spatula and ice the top of the cake. And we're going to go back and forth, get it up there. Once you cover the cake, we're going to take the offset spatula and go in the opposite direction and finish spreading the chocolate buttercream all around the top of the cake in smooth, long strokes. And this is just a process, y'all, until we get it like we want it. It's kind of like making something with Play-Doh. You keep kind of working with it until you get it like you want it. If there are any edges or things you don't want in it, go back over it. I hope you can see, maybe, and appreciate. I mean, this is just a small little piece of cake decorating, very simple. The ladies and gentlemen that do the baking at the bakeries, oh wow, they do so much harder and more intricate work than this. But we are doing a home cooking show not a bakery show. So I try to do recipes and techniques that any home cook could proudly do in her or his own kitchen. And I'm going back over the edges now just to finalize and get it looking like I want it, y'all. We now pause for Michelle to reload the pastry bag. And let me tell you what I'm doing. I have to fold over the bag over my hand and then push down with some more icing and then pull the bag back up and retwist it. And now we're going to decorate the sides. And don't forget to wipe your tip clean now and then with a clean paper towel. It makes your edges prettier. Okay, let's get to work. Holding the bag and the tip at about a 45-degree angle, we're going to put more pressure and then lighten up. More pressure, lighten up. And then we're just doing a swirly pattern. And kind of like writing a C in cursive backwards, or maybe a fancy scroll F, if you remember how to write in cursive. Or if you ever did. But anyway, you see how I left that diagonal zigzag pattern? You don't have to have things smooth, and I rarely can get them smooth anyway. But anyway, this 1M tip is my favorite tip, and you can do so much with it. We ice the cake with it. We're setting a border with it. We're just making things look pretty. And you can do any kind of designs, and you can practice. Just get you a piece of parchment paper and do some practicing if you're not ready to do it on your cake. Then you can always scrape that icing off the parchment paper and put it back in the bowl and reuse it. Just keep everything clean. I'm going to make a heart decoration in the middle because I was taking this to people that I dearly love. At this point, you can add any kind of sprinkles that you want. And we're in the holiday season, you can get holiday sprinkles. But today I'm going to use brown because actually today is Thanksgiving. And I didn't want to rush Christmas on Thanksgiving. So just kind of sprinkle them wherever you want them. There's no rhyme, no reason. This is your cake, honey. You decorate it like you want to. I'm going to sprinkle a few on the border for a finishing touch. And I think we're about done, y'all. What do y'all think? Now, anytime I'm making something on a cake board, you want clean edges. And if you'll take a clean, damp paper towel and just push it or pull it along the side, you'll keep the edges clean, just kind of straight. And if any stuck, you just kind of wash it off. But then you take the dry side and go back one final time, and then you'll clean up your presentation. It'll make it look a lot better. So look at here. We have us a finished product. Isn't it pretty? Happy holidays, and thank you so much for watching. You can do this, y'all. You really can.